The morning sun rose slowly over the tall glass towers of the city. In a small corner of the lower district, the narrow streets were already busy with the sound of hoverbikes and vendors calling out their morning deals. The air was filled with the smell of freshly baked bread and the faint hum of delivery drones moving above. Among the crowd, a young girl named Lena hurried across the cracked pavement, her worn shoes splashing through small puddles left from the night rain. Lena was 17, thin and small for her age, but her dark eyes held a spark that never faded. She lived with her grandmother in a small apartment near the river wall. Every day she studied until midnight, dreaming of the day she would become a space engineer. Her goal was to build engines that could help humans travel far beyond the solar system. For her, today was the most important day of her life. Today was her final exam at the City Academy. Passing it would guarantee her a scholarship to the Grand University, where only the best students were allowed to study. She had saved every coin she could find for her exam fee, even skipping meals at times. Her grandmother had sold her old sewing machine to help her buy new study materials. Lena wanted to make her proud. She knew if she could just pass this exam, her life would change forever. She checked the small digital clock on her wrist. It was already 7:30. The exam started at 8. She had planned to take the hover bus that went straight to the academy, but that morning luck seemed to have turned against her. When she reached the bus stop, a glowing red sign appeared above the station gate. It said, "Service delay, technical issue." People groaned and started complaining. Lena's heart sank. She had no time to wait. She looked around and saw a bike rider nearby, an older man loading vegetables into his small electric cart. She asked if he could give her a ride to the main bridge. The man smiled kindly and agreed. She climbed onto the cart, clutching her small backpack tightly. The ride was bumpy and slow, but it was faster than walking. The city around her flashed with color. Tall towers with shining windows, floating ads showing new luxury homes, and traffic lines of cars that never stopped. When the cart reached the main bridge, Lena thanked the man and jumped off. She started running again. Her lungs burned, but she didn't slow down. The bridge was long and curved, stretching over the river like a silver ribbon. Hover cars flew past her at high speed, making the air ripple with their force. She ran along the pedestrian lane, focusing on the other end where the academy buildings could already be seen in the distance. Suddenly, a loud sound cut through the air, a screech of metal and a crash. A few meters ahead, one of the hover cars spun out of control. Its front panel sparked as it hit the guardrail. The car stopped halfway across the lane, smoke rising from its engine. Lena froze for a moment, unsure of what to do. Other people on the bridge moved away, afraid of getting involved. Some took pictures from a distance. A few cars slowed down but then continued on their way. Lena's heart raced. Through the cracked window, she could see a woman slumped over the steering seat. The woman's head rested against the control screen, her hand loosely holding the steering bar. Lena looked around for help, but there was no rescue drone nearby. The city patrol wouldn't reach this area for several minutes. Her exam started in less than half an hour. If she stayed, she would miss it for sure. But if she walked away, someone might die. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Do good when you can, even when no one is watching. A kind act is never wasted. Lena took a deep breath and ran toward the car. The closer she got, the stronger the smell of burning wires became. She pulled her scarf over her nose and knocked on the window, but the woman didn't move. She quickly tried to open the door, but it was locked. Her small hands searched along the side until she found the emergency release latch. She pulled it hard and the door clicked open with a hiss of smoke. The woman inside was wearing an elegant coat made of silver blue fabric. A luxury ID bracelet blinked on her wrist, showing her name and health data. Lena saw that the oxygen level on the bracelet display was dropping. The woman's breathing was weak and slow. Without wasting time, Lena unbuckled the seatbelt and carefully pulled her out of the car. The heat from the engine was rising fast. Sparks began to fall from the control panel. Lena dragged the woman a few steps away and laid her flat on the ground. Her hands trembled as she remembered what she had learned in her community first aid class. She checked the woman's pulse, found it faint but steady, and started basic chest compressions to keep the blood flowing. After a few seconds, the woman coughed weakly and her eyes fluttered open. "You are safe now," Lena said gently. "Help is coming." The woman tried to speak but could only whisper something that sounded like, "Thank you." Lena gave her some water from her small bottle and kept her calm. A few people finally came closer now that the danger had passed. Someone had called for an emergency drone. Within minutes, 2 drones arrived, their lights flashing blue. A medical team soon followed in a hovercar ambulance. One of the medics asked who had helped the woman. A bystander pointed to Lena, who was still holding the woman's hand. The medic thanked her and told her to step back as they lifted the woman onto a stretcher. Lena stood up, her legs shaky but her heart steady. She felt relief wash over her. The woman was alive, and that was all that mattered. Then she looked at her wrist clock again. It was 8:15. Her stomach twisted. She had missed the exam. She watched the ambulance speed away and then picked up her bag. There was still a chance she could explain to her instructor. Maybe they would understand. She started running again, ignoring the burning in her legs. The wind pushed against her and sweat rolled down her forehead. She crossed the end of the bridge and entered the Academy district, where everything looked cleaner and brighter than her home area. The buildings were tall and shining white. Students in neat uniforms walked calmly toward their classes. When Lena reached the exam hall gate, the clock above the door read 8:30. 2 guards stood there checking ID passes. She showed her card, but one of them shook his head. Exam started at 8. No entry after 15 minutes, he said firmly. Please, I was helping someone on the bridge. There was an accident, Lena said, trying to catch her breath. The guard looked at her dusty clothes and the soot marks on her hands. His expression softened, but the rule was strict. I am sorry, he said. I can't let you in. You can talk to the instructor later. Lena nodded silently and stepped aside. She sat on a bench near the gate, watching the other students enter the hall. She wanted to cry but held her tears back. She didn't want people to see her weakness. She remembered the woman's pale face and told herself that she had done the right thing. After a while, she stood up and went to the instructor's office. The tall man behind the desk looked at her record and sighed. Lena, your work this year has been very good, he said. But the rule says all students must attend the final exam in person. We cannot make exceptions. I'm sorry. Is there no other way? She asked quietly. He shook his head. You can try again next year if you can afford the fee. Lena left the office slowly. The hallway seemed longer than ever. Students passed by her, talking about their exam questions and future plans. She walked out into the courtyard, where the sunlight reflected off the academy's glass walls. Her shadow looked small against the bright ground. When she reached home, her grandmother was waiting by the door. She smiled at Lena, thinking the exam had gone well, but her smile faded when she saw her granddaughter's face. I missed it, Lena said softly. There was an accident. I helped a woman who was hurt. Her grandmother hugged her and said, You did the right thing, child. You saved a life. There will be other exams, but there are not many chances to do good. That evening, Lena sat by the small window of their home. The city lights shone in the distance like stars. She felt sadness but also peace. She thought of the woman she had helped and hoped she was safe. Her hands still smelled faintly of smoke, but her heart was light. She looked at her study books on the table and decided she would not give up. Maybe her dream was delayed, but it was not gone. Outside, the river reflected the glow of the sky lanes where rich people's cars moved like silver fish. Lena whispered a quiet promise to herself that one day she would build something that could carry everyone, rich or poor, to the stars. What she didn't know was that the woman she saved was not just anyone. She was the wife of the most powerful man in the city, and that single act of kindness was about to change Lena's life forever. The next morning, Lena woke up early as usual. The small alarm beside her bed rang softly, and sunlight slipped through the thin curtain. For a few seconds, she forgot what had happened the previous day. She looked at her study books neatly stacked on the wooden table and reached for her exam bag before remembering she no longer needed it. Her chest grew heavy again as the truth returned. She had missed the exam, and her dream had slipped away. Her grandmother was already in the kitchen, stirring a pot of porridge on the small stove. The warm smell of corn and milk filled the air. When Lena sat down, her grandmother gave her a gentle smile. You look tired, child, she said softly. You should rest today. Lena nodded, though her mind was far away. She looked out the window and saw the sky filled with the shining trails of hover cars going toward the upper city. Every time she saw them, she felt both amazed and distant, as if that world was a dream she could never reach. After breakfast, she decided to go to the academy again. She hoped maybe she could speak with the headmaster directly. She packed her notebook and tied her scarf tightly before stepping out. The streets were busy, and she walked past vendors calling out their goods, the scent of roasted beans and sweet bread in the air. When she reached the academy gates, the security scanner flashed blue and allowed her in. The tall white buildings looked as beautiful as always, but she noticed how different she looked from everyone else. Most students wore clean uniforms and polished shoes. Her clothes were neatly washed but old. She didn't care about that yesterday, but now the difference felt larger than ever. The headmaster's office was on the top floor. She climbed the stairs quietly, holding her bag close. When she reached the door, she knocked softly. A voice from inside said, "Come in." The headmaster was a tall man with kind eyes and gray hair. He was reading something on his screen when she entered. When he saw her, he nodded. "Ah, Lena, I heard about what happened yesterday," he said. "Please have a seat." She sat down carefully, her hands folded in her lap. "Sir, I wanted to ask if there is any chance I could retake the exam. I know I was late, but I had to help someone who was in danger." The headmaster sighed and looked at her record again. "Lena, your grades have been excellent. You are one of the brightest students we have from your district. I respect what you did yesterday. It was the right thing, but the academy has rules that come from the city board. I cannot break them. Exams are only held once a year." Her eyes dropped to the floor. "So my scholarship is gone?" she asked quietly. "Yes," he said with regret. "Without the final score, the scholarship office cannot approve your place at the university. You can apply again next year if you find a sponsor." Lena thanked him politely and stood up. She wanted to say more but knew it would not change anything. As she left the room, she could hear the faint hum of students talking and laughing in the hall. It was a normal day for them, but not for her. Outside the academy, the sunlight was bright, yet everything felt dull. She walked down the main street slowly, passing by cafes where students sat with their tablets open, chatting about projects and plans for the future. Her future now looked like a blank page. By the time she reached the old bridge again, her legs were aching. She stopped halfway across and looked at the river below. The water reflected the tall buildings and shining sky lanes above. She could almost see herself in that reflection, small and ordinary compared to the grand world around her. Still, she didn't regret what she had done. When she closed her eyes, she could still see the woman's face as she woke up in the car. That small spark of life returning to her had been worth everything. Lena whispered a quiet prayer that the woman was safe now. That night, her grandmother tried to comfort her. They sat together after dinner, and the older woman held Lena's hand. "You have a good heart," she said. "Good hearts never stay in the dust. Something good will come back to you." Lena smiled faintly. "I hope so, Grandma." The days that followed were slow. She spent her mornings helping her grandmother at the market, selling handmade scarves and small energy batteries they recharged from old panels. In the afternoons, she went to the library to read. Even though she had no classes, she couldn't stop learning. The staff at the library liked her because she always returned books on time and often helped clean the shelves. Sometimes, she would watch the academy students passing by the street outside. A small feeling of longing would rise inside her, but she kept it hidden. She reminded herself that patience was strength. A week passed like this. Then one morning, while she was arranging scarves on the stall, a man approached. He wore a neat black suit and looked out of place in the dusty market. His shoes were shiny and a small badge on his jacket glowed faintly with a digital emblem. "Are you Lena?" he asked. She looked up, surprised. "Yes, sir. Can I help you?" The man smiled. "Someone wishes to thank you for your help last week. The woman you saved on the bridge. She asked me to deliver this." He handed her a small envelope. It was white and thick, with a silver mark on it that looked like the symbol of a large company. She thanked him politely, but before she could ask more, he simply nodded and walked away. Her grandmother came over. "Who was that man?" she asked. "I don't know," Lena said, turning the envelope in her hands. "He said it's from the woman I helped." Her fingers trembled a little as she opened it. Inside was a simple handwritten note. It said, "Dear Lena, I am safe because of you. I want to meet you when you are free. Tomorrow morning, a car will come to your home to bring you to me. Thank you for your kindness." At the bottom of the note was a name, Mira Hale. Lena had heard that name before. Everyone in the city had. Mira Hale was the wife of Arlen Hale, the billionaire who owned Hale Tech Industries. the company that designed most of the engines used in modern starships. People said she was kind and generous but rarely appeared in public. Her grandmother's eyes widened. "Child, this is important. You must go. Maybe she wants to help you." Lena nodded, though she still couldn't believe it. Why would someone so powerful remember a poor girl from the lower district? Still, she promised she would go. That night, she cleaned her best outfit, a plain white shirt and dark trousers. She brushed her hair carefully and laid everything on the chair beside her bed. She barely slept. Her mind kept picturing the woman's face and wondering what she would say. When morning came, she woke before the alarm. The sun had just started to rise, painting the sky a soft orange. Her grandmother made her a small breakfast and kissed her forehead. "Whatever happens, remember who you are," she said with a smile. "Stay humble, stay kind." Lena nodded. "I will, Grandma." Then at exactly 8 in the morning, the sound of a deep humming engine filled the narrow street outside. Neighbors came out of their doors to look. A sleek black Rolls-Royce hover car stopped in front of Lena's home. Its surface shone like liquid glass and the city logo glowed faintly on its side. The driver stepped out, dressed in a neat uniform with white gloves. He walked to Lena and bowed slightly. "Miss Lena, Mrs. Hale requests your presence," he said politely. He opened the car door for her. Lena looked back at her grandmother, who nodded with a proud smile. Then she stepped into the car. The inside was quiet and cool. Soft music played from hidden speakers. She had never been inside anything so beautiful. The seats were smooth and smelled of clean leather. The window tint changed automatically as the car rose above the ground and joined the flow of traffic in the sky lane. Outside, the lower district grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared beneath the bright layers of the upper city. The towers around her sparkled in the sunlight, and she saw drones carrying goods across bridges of air. The car moved smoothly, gliding between the tall buildings like a bird. After some time, it slowed down near a large glass building surrounded by green gardens. The driver turned to her. "We have arrived," he said. When Lena stepped out, she was greeted by a woman standing near the entrance. It was Mira Hale. She looked elegant but kind, dressed in a simple white gown, her smile warm and gentle. "You must be Lena," Mira said, walking toward her. "It is so good to see you again." Lena bowed slightly, unsure what to say. "I'm glad you are well, ma'am." Mira reached out and took her hand. "I am well because of you. You saved my life when no one else stopped to help. Please come inside. I have something to show you." Lena followed her through the tall glass doors into the grand hall. Everything inside glowed softly, powered by clean light from energy crystals. There were paintings of ships, stars, and distant worlds. Mira led her to a large room that looked like a laboratory filled with small models of spacecraft. Mira turned to her with a smile. "My husband and I have a project here. We call it the Starpath Initiative. We build engines that will take humans to new planets. I heard from the medics that you studied engineering. Is that right?" Lena nodded, surprised that she knew. "Yes, ma'am. I love building things." Mira looked pleased. "Then you will fit in perfectly here. I want to offer you something better than a scholarship. I want you to join us." Lena's heart skipped a beat. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. Her missed exam, her lost dream, all of it seemed to shift in that single moment. Mira continued, "You have shown courage, intelligence, and compassion. Those are the—" Lena woke up early the next morning, still unsure if what had happened the day before was real. The letter, the car, and the meeting with Mira Hale had all felt like something from a dream. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the small silver card Mira had given her. It was an access card with her name printed neatly across it. Beneath her name were the words, "Trainee Engineer, Starpath Initiative." Her grandmother entered the room carrying a small tray with breakfast. "You did not sleep much," she said kindly. Lena smiled a little. "It still feels strange, Grandma. I keep thinking maybe it was all a mistake." Her grandmother shook her head. "It was not a mistake. You helped someone with kindness, and now kindness has come back to you. Go and do your best today. Make them proud of you and make yourself proud too." Lena hugged her grandmother before leaving. The same black Rolls-Royce hover car was waiting outside, the driver standing beside it with a polite nod. When Lena stepped inside, she felt more confident this time. The car rose gently and joined the glowing traffic lanes above the city. She watched the tall buildings pass by, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The car stopped at the Hale Tech Research Tower. It was even more impressive than she remembered. The building reached high into the sky, its walls made of mirrored glass that reflected the clouds. The main entrance opened as she approached, and a security robot scanned her access card before greeting her with a soft mechanical voice. "Welcome, Miss Lena. Please proceed to level 10. She entered the elevator, which moved so smoothly that it felt like floating. When the doors opened, she stepped into a wide room filled with soft white light. The floor was covered in silver panels that glowed faintly beneath her feet. Around her, people in clean lab coats worked at large tables covered in small glowing parts and holographic screens. The air smelled of metal, ozone, and the faint sweetness of synthetic oil. A young man with a friendly face approached her. "You must be Lena," he said with a smile. "Mrs. Hale told us about you." "My name is Aaron. I will show you around." Lena nodded gratefully. "Thank you. Everything looks amazing." Aaron laughed softly. "It can be confusing at first, but you will get used to it. This place is where we build dreams." He guided her through the lab, pointing out different sections. One area focused on energy crystals, another on propulsion systems, and another on digital control units. Every table had something fascinating. She saw people testing small engines, each one producing a bright blue flame inside a glass container. She saw a group of engineers working on a long silver tube that glowed from within, and she could hear faint humming sounds coming from it. Aaron stopped near a large transparent dome at the center of the room. Inside it stood a model of a full-size spacecraft. Its design was sleek, with long curved wings and a shimmering hull that changed color when light touched it. "This is the first prototype of the new generation ship," Aaron explained. "We call it the Aurora. It will use a new kind of engine that repairs itself during flight." "Mrs. Hale said you have an interest in engine design, right?" Lena nodded eagerly. "Yes, I used to study it at the academy. I wanted to create engines that last longer and use less energy." Aaron smiled. "Then you came to the right place. The Aurora engine is based on the same idea. You might even help us improve it." Before she could respond, Mira Hale entered the room. Everyone turned to greet her. She walked with calm confidence, her presence gentle but strong. When she saw Lena, she smiled warmly. "Welcome again, Lena," Mira said. "I see Aaron is already giving you a tour." "Yes, ma'am," Lena replied. "It is wonderful here." Mira looked pleased. "Good. I want you to feel at home. You will start by assisting in the small engine lab. You will observe, take notes, and later we will let you try designing small models. I believe you will do great things here." Lena thanked her sincerely. Mira's kindness made her feel at ease. There was no pride or distance in her tone, only genuine care. As the day went on, Lena watched the engineers closely. She helped them organize tools, tested connections, and recorded data. Though she was new, her curiosity and quick understanding impressed the others. When one of the small engines failed to start, she quietly pointed out that a wire was slightly misaligned. Aaron checked it and smiled. "You have a good eye," he said. During lunch, she sat with a few other trainees. They talked about where they came from. Most of them were from wealthy families who had studied in the best schools. When they asked about her background, she simply said she was from the lower district and had studied at the city academy. A few looked surprised, but one girl said kindly, "That's amazing. Not many people from there get a chance like this." Lena smiled but didn't say much. She was used to being different. What mattered to her was learning and proving she belonged here. When the day ended, Mira called her to her office. The room was large and filled with sunlight. A picture of the Hale family hung on the wall, showing Mira, her husband Arlen, and their young son. The desk was covered with papers, but everything was neatly arranged. Mira gestured for Lena to sit. "You did very well today," she said. "Aaron told me you noticed a wiring problem before anyone else. That shows focus and understanding." "Thank you, ma'am," Lena said softly. Mira leaned back in her chair. "Do you know why my husband and I started this project? It was not only to build ships. We wanted to give hope. Many people think only the rich can reach the stars. We want to change that. We want a future where everyone can dream equally." Lena listened carefully. "That is a beautiful dream," she said. Mira smiled. "It is, and people like you make it real. You remind us why this project matters. You helped me when you had nothing to gain. That is the kind of heart we need here." Her words filled Lena with quiet pride. She promised herself she would never disappoint the trust Mira had given her. Over the next weeks, Lena worked harder than she ever had before. Every morning, she arrived early and left only when the lights dimmed. She learned to read complex blueprints, understand power flow circuits, and test micro-engines. Her favorite part was working on the Aurora's self-repair system. She studied how living organisms healed themselves and tried to apply the same logic to machine design. Sometimes she stayed up late sketching new ideas in her notebook. She imagined engines that could sense their own weaknesses and adjust automatically. Her creativity impressed the senior engineers, and soon they began asking for her opinion. One evening, while she was cleaning her tools, she heard Mira's voice behind her. "Still working, Lena?" Lena turned, surprised. "Yes, ma'am. I was just finishing this test," Mira smiled. "I like that spirit. Come, I want to show you something." They walked through a quiet hallway to a large window that overlooked the testing bay. Below them, a massive engine core stood surrounded by glowing lights. Technicians moved around it carefully, checking readings on their screens. The engine looked alive, pulsing with soft blue light. "This is the heart of the Aurora," Mira said, "the first complete prototype. Tomorrow we will test it for the first time. I want you to be there. You will see how your hard work has helped us reach this point." Lena's eyes widened. "I can watch the test?" "Yes," Mira said. "You earned it." That night, Lena could barely sleep. She kept thinking about what she would see. The thought of being part of something so great filled her with excitement. The next day, the entire team gathered in the testing hall. The engine stood inside a reinforced chamber. Everyone wore protective glasses and watched the control screens closely. Mira stood at the front beside her husband, Arlen Hale, a tall man with calm eyes and a quiet smile. He gave a short speech thanking the team for their hard work. Then the countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The chamber lights dimmed, and the engine roared to life. A deep hum filled the air, steady and powerful. The light from the engine core grew brighter, spreading across the chamber in soft waves. The readings on the screens turned green one by one. "It is stable," one engineer said excitedly. Arlen nodded with pride. "Perfect output." "It works better than we expected." Everyone cheered. Mira turned to Lena and said, "This is your beginning. You helped us reach this moment." Lena smiled, her heart full. She felt like the world had opened a new door for her. She thought about the day she had missed her exam and realized that life had given her a different test, one that led her here. As the engine continued to run smoothly, the team took turns recording data. Mira placed a gentle hand on Lena's shoulder and said, "Remember this day. It is the first step of many. Soon these engines will take humanity beyond the stars." Lena looked at the glowing core, feeling its energy pulse through the floor. She thought of all the people in the lower districts who never had chances like this, and she silently promised she would help open paths for them too. Her story had begun with loss, but now it was turning into something greater than she ever dreamed. The morning sun spilled golden light across the city as Lena woke up in her new room at the Haletech residential complex. The walls were painted soft white, and large windows looked out onto a garden filled with glowing plants and small fountains. For the first time in her life, she had her own space, quiet and peaceful, where she could study and create freely. She smiled as she stretched, feeling a mixture of excitement and responsibility. Her grandmother had moved in with her a few days ago, leaving the small apartment in the lower district behind. Lena had insisted on it. She could not imagine her grandmother struggling while she now had this new opportunity. The older woman smiled every morning, helping Lena prepare breakfast and making sure she started her day well. After a simple meal, Lena took her notebook and tablet and headed to the lab. The Haletech building was alive with activity, and every time she entered, she felt like she was stepping into a place where anything was possible. Engineers, programmers, and scientists moved quickly, working together to build machines and engines that could take humans further than ever before. Aran, her guide from the first day, greeted her with a wide smile. "Good morning, Lena. Are you ready for today?" "Yes," Lena replied eagerly. "I want to help wherever I can." Aaron led her to the engine design lab where small models of engines and spacecraft were lined up on long tables. "Today you will try your first hands-on project," he said. "We want you to design a small prototype engine component that could improve energy efficiency. You have the knowledge and we trust your creativity." Lena's heart raced. She had studied theory for years, but this was the first time she would put her ideas into practice in a real lab. She took a deep breath and began analyzing the components, drawing diagrams in her notebook, and carefully assembling small parts under the guidance of Aaron and 2 other engineers. Hours passed quickly. Every step required focus and attention, but Lena enjoyed every moment. She watched how tiny adjustments could make a significant difference in energy flow, how alignment of the microfibers improved stability, and how careful calibration prevented overheating. She learned quickly from Aaron, and even made a few suggestions that the engineers implemented. When she finished her prototype, Aaron tested it. The component performed perfectly. The engineers exchanged smiles, impressed by her intuition and precision. Aaron turned to Lena and said, "This is excellent work. You are learning fast. Keep going, and you will create engines that could power the fastest ships in the fleet." Lena felt proud but also humbled. She remembered her life in the lower district, where resources were limited and dreams often seemed unreachable. Now she had access to knowledge, materials, and tools she had only read about in books. She realized that her past struggles had shaped her ability to work carefully, notice details, and stay patient. After lunch, Mira Hale appeared in the lab. Her presence brought a sense of calm and confidence to everyone around her. She walked over to Lena, smiling warmly. "You are doing well," Mira said. "I see that your hands-on work is going smoothly. That is exactly what we hoped for. Today we will discuss something more important, something that goes beyond knowledge or skill." Lena looked at her curiously. Mira continued, "When my husband and I first started the Starpath initiative, we wanted to build engines that could carry humanity to new planets. But we also wanted to give people opportunities. Talent alone is not enough. Many people have dreams but lack support. We want to change that. That is why we brought you here." Lena listened closely, feeling a mix of excitement and humility. Mira smiled and said, "Your life so far has been filled with challenges, yet you acted with kindness when you could have focused only on yourself. That is rare. I want to offer you more than a position here. I want to support your full education and your journey as an engineer. This is the gift beyond wealth. You will have everything you need to learn, create, and reach your full potential." Lena's eyes widened and her heart filled with gratitude. She could hardly believe it. She had spent years worrying about money, exams, and surviving day to day. Now someone had given her not just a chance, but freedom to learn and grow. "Thank you, Mrs. Hale," Lena said softly. "I will do my best." Mira placed a hand gently on Lena's shoulder. "I know you will. But remember, this is not just for you. One day you can help others like you, giving them chances they might not have. That is the greatest gift of all." The next weeks were filled with learning and discovery. Lena became familiar with advanced machinery, engines that responded to environmental changes, and propulsion systems designed for interstellar travel. Every day she improved her skills, creating small prototypes and testing them. Her designs often surprised even senior engineers. They admired how her ideas combined creativity, efficiency, and simplicity. One afternoon, Aaron brought her to the observation deck of the tower. From there she could see the city below, stretching far beyond the horizon. Hover cars moved like silver fish, and the river reflected the morning sun. Mira and Arlen Hale joined them. "Lena," Arlen said, "we know your story. We know how you risked your exam to save someone else's life. That courage is part of who you are, and it will guide you as an engineer. The world needs people who think not only about success but also about responsibility and kindness. We believe you are one of them." Lena looked out at the city, feeling a strong sense of purpose. She realized that her life had changed not because of wealth, but because someone recognized her heart and her potential. She wanted to honor that trust by working hard and creating something meaningful. During her free time, she explored the Hale Tech Library, which contained holographic books and data archives from across the galaxy. She studied star maps, engine schematics, and designs for ships that could travel beyond light speed. Every discovery inspired her imagination. She began sketching new engine designs that combined durability, efficiency, and environmental balance. One evening, while testing a small prototype in the lab, she noticed a minor issue in the energy flow system. She carefully recalibrated it, and the engine ran more smoothly than before. Aaron came to check her work and smiled. "You are improving fast. These adjustments could make a real difference in our next project. We might even use your design in a full-scale engine." Lena's heart raced. She had started as a trainee, unsure if she would belong, and now her ideas were becoming part of a project that could take humans to new worlds. Mira appeared again in the lab, watching the engine pulse with soft blue light. She looked at Lena and said, "This is your first real success here. You see what can happen when talent meets opportunity? You have the potential to change the future." Lena nodded, feeling proud and grateful. She remembered her days of studying by candlelight, the time she had gone without meals to save money, and the moments she had walked through the city dreaming of reaching the stars. All of that had led her here. Over time, Lena became close with the other engineers and trainees. They respected her not for her past, but for her hard work, creativity, and willingness to help others. She often shared her ideas and offered solutions to problems others had struggled with. Slowly, she became a key part of the team. Mira and Arlen Hale continued to mentor her, teaching her not only about engineering but also about responsibility, ethics, and vision. They emphasized that the future of humanity depended on kindness, intelligence, and courage working together. Lena absorbed everything she could, understanding that her opportunity was a gift not only for her own success but for the good of others as well. One evening, after a long day of work, Mira invited Lena to the observation deck again. The city lights sparkled like stars below, and the tall towers reflected the soft glow of energy grids. Mira said, "Lena, you have learned a lot in a short time. Tomorrow, you will present your prototype to the full team. This is more than a test. It is a way to show how your ideas can shape the future of the Aurora project." Lena's excitement mixed with nervousness. She wanted to do her best, not only for herself but for everyone who believed in her. Mira placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "Remember, this is not about perfection. It is about vision and courage. You have both in abundance." That night, Lena prepared her presentation carefully. She reviewed her notes, sketched diagrams, and imagined how she would explain her design. For the first time in her life, she felt that she had a chance to make a difference on a scale she had never dreamed of. The gift she had received went beyond wealth. It was freedom, guidance, and trust. It was a chance to use her mind and heart to create something meaningful for the world. Lena understood that her small act of kindness on the bridge had opened the door, but her choices, hard work, and determination would carry her further than she had ever imagined. She fell asleep that night with a calm sense of purpose. She was no longer just a girl from the lower district who had missed an exam. She was Lena, an engineer in the making, someone who had the chance to touch the stars and bring hope to humanity. The day of the Aurora launch arrived with bright sunlight streaming across the city. Lena woke early, her mind racing with anticipation. For weeks, she had worked on final tests and last-minute adjustments to the prototype engines she had designed. Today, she would see her creation come to life in a way she had never imagined. She dressed in the simple lab uniform provided by HaleTech and checked her notes one last time. Her heart pounded, but she felt confident. All her training, all the lessons Mira and Aaron had taught her, and every small experiment she had conducted had led to this moment. When she arrived at the testing and launch facility, she could see the Aurora standing on the platform. Its silver hull gleamed in the sunlight, reflecting the excitement of the day. Engineers moved quickly around it, checking panels, reviewing data, and making sure every system was functioning perfectly. Trainees and senior scientists alike were buzzing with energy. Aaron greeted her with a smile. "You are ready," he said. "The engine is stable, and your adjustments made a real difference. Today, humanity takes a step beyond the solar system because of your work." Lena smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "Thank you, Aaron. I will do my best." Mira and Arlen Hale arrived next. Mira approached Lena with a warm smile. "This is a day to remember," she said. "Your talent and courage brought you here. Remember, Lena, every act of kindness, every choice you made to do good led to this moment. Humanity is about to see the stars in a new way, and you are part of that story." Lena looked at the ship, imagining the endless possibilities it represented. Her journey had started on a rainy morning, running across the bridge to help someone in need. And now she was part of a team that would carry humans to worlds they had only dreamed of. The launch hall quieted as the countdown began. Lena stood near the observation deck, her tablet in hand, monitoring engine readings alongside Aaron and other engineers. Every display showed perfect stability, energy flow, and propulsion levels. The Aurora was ready. 10, 9, 8. The automated voice counted. Lena held her breath, feeling a shiver of excitement run through her body. 765. The engines pulsed softly. 4-3-2-1 liftoff. The Aurora's engines ignited fully. A brilliant glow surrounded the ship as it lifted from the platform. The ground trembled slightly beneath the spectators' feet. Lena felt the vibration in her hands and saw the blue energy of her engine designs illuminating the hull. The ship rose steadily, climbing higher and higher into the sky. People cheered, cameras recorded every moment, and Mira and Arlen smiled proudly. Lena's heart soared with the ship, knowing that the engines she had worked on were powering humanity's first step toward new worlds. The Aurora passed through the atmosphere with smooth precision. Lena watched the data streams on her tablet, confirming that energy efficiency was at peak levels and the self-repair system was functioning perfectly. Her designs were working exactly as she had hoped. After the ship cleared the atmosphere, the engineers and trainees erupted in quiet excitement. The Aurora was in orbit. Lena stepped forward to Mira, who placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is your moment," she said. "You helped make this possible. You proved that intelligence, courage, and kindness can change the future." Lena felt tears of joy in her eyes. She remembered the rainy morning when she missed her exam, the fear and uncertainty she had felt, and the hope that had guided her hands as she saved Mira. All those moments led to this one, and she felt deeply grateful. Aaron approached her holding a small communication device. "The captain of the Aurora wants to speak with you," he said. Lena nodded and pressed the button. A calm, confident voice came through. "Lena, this is Captain Rian. Your work on the engines is holding steady. Energy levels are stable, and self-repair systems are functioning perfectly. Thank you for your contributions. Humanity is counting on engineers like you to take us further than ever before." Lena smiled and replied, "Thank you, Captain. I am glad to help. I hope our work will take humanity to new worlds safely and efficiently." The launch continued smoothly as the Aurora passed the moon's orbit and entered deep space. Lena watched on the monitors, seeing the planets and stars stretch infinitely around the ship. The sight filled her with awe and wonder. She realized that her small act of kindness had started a journey that would touch the lives of millions. Later, in the control room, Mira and Arlen Hale gathered the team for a debriefing. Mira spoke first. "Today we witnessed a remarkable achievement. The Aurora launch shows that humanity can reach beyond the limits of what was thought possible, and each of you played a part, especially Lena. She showed us that talent combined with kindness can create extraordinary results." Arlen added, "We are proud not only of the technology but also of the people who made it possible. Lena, your courage, intelligence, and compassion remind us why we do this work. The future belongs to people who dare to dream and act with integrity." Lena felt a warm glow in her heart. She had always dreamed of designing engines, but she had never imagined that her choices and actions could mean so much for the future. She looked at the team around her, many of them still young, full of energy and hope. She realized that she was now part of a community where dreams became reality through collaboration, learning, and care for others. In the following days, Lena continued working on improving the Aurora engines. She analyzed data from the launch, identified areas where efficiency could be increased, and designed new microcomponents. Every improvement meant a longer journey, safer travel, and more possibilities for humanity. One evening, as she walked through the gardens of Haletech with Mira, Lena spoke softly. "I still remember the bridge. I thought I was losing everything when I missed my exam. I never imagined it would lead here." Mira smiled and took her hand. "That day revealed who you are, Lena. Many people see obstacles and take the easy path. You chose to help someone, and that choice changed your life. Life often gives rewards in ways we cannot predict. You have used yours wisely." Lena looked at the stars in the distance. She felt a deep sense of purpose. "I want to help others like me, people who don't have opportunities. I want to show them that they can reach the stars too." Mira nodded. "And you will. One day when you lead your own team, you will carry forward not only knowledge but also the heart that matters most." Weeks passed, and Lena's designs were integrated into the next full-sized Aurora engine. The team prepared for a second test flight, this time further than ever. Lena stood in the control room, observing the final checks. The engines purred softly as power flowed evenly through the system. Her prototypes worked flawlessly alongside the main systems. When the Aurora took off again, Lena watched as it moved through the upper atmosphere and into space. She saw the planets below, the moon glowing softly and distant stars stretching endlessly. The ship carried humanity's hope, powered by the work she had helped create. The media reported the success, highlighting Lena's contribution. They spoke about her courage on the bridge, her journey from the lower district, and her role in the Star Path initiative. Children across the city and beyond read about her story, inspired to dream bigger and believe in the power of kindness and determination. Lena became a symbol of hope. People saw that intelligence, creativity, and compassion could change the world. Her story reminded everyone that even small acts of courage and kindness could create enormous ripples, touching lives far beyond what one could imagine. Years later, Lena stood on the bridge of the first interstellar ship to leave the solar system. The Aurora was fully equipped, carrying humans and advanced technology into unknown space. She wore a simple uniform, her hair tied back and her hands rested lightly on the control panel. The stars stretched infinitely in front of her. She felt both excitement and responsibility. She remembered the rainy morning, the bridge, and the moment she chose to help someone in need. That choice had shaped her entire life. Now she was not only an engineer but also a pioneer, carrying humanity into the future. Mira watched from the observation deck on Earth as the ship lifted off. She whispered, "Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can ignite the biggest change in human destiny." Lena smiled as the Aurora passed beyond the orbit of Mars. She felt the hum of the engines beneath her hands, engines she had helped design, engines that would carry humanity to distant worlds. Her heart was full, knowing that she had turned challenges into opportunities and hope into action. The flight continued smoothly, and the ship disappeared into the vast expanse of stars. Lena looked forward, ready to face unknown worlds, guided by knowledge, courage, and compassion. Humanity had taken its first real step into the universe, and she was part of the story. Her journey had begun with a single act of courage, and it had led her to the stars. She understood that true strength was not only in knowledge or skill, but also in the heart, and that one person could make a difference in the destiny of humanity. Lena smiled, feeling both humble and powerful. The universe lay ahead, full of possibilities, and she was ready to explore it.